Hey YouTube friends, I'm coming tonight to talk to you about one of my favorite sets of all time. It is the 1936 Butterfinger Premiums. Butterfinger Premiums have a catalog designation of R310. These premiums, they measure 7 3/4 inch by 9 3/4 inch. So they're essentially an 8x10 paper photograph. Now in 1936 you could obtain one of these big beautiful photos by going to your local grocers and purchasing a 5-cent Butterfinger candy bar. And with that purchase you could then receive one of these beautiful premium photographs, and these photos are extremely brittle and fragile as they were printed on extremely thin, very similar to newspaper type stock. If you've ever seen old newspaper, as it ages, it gets discolored and very brittle and very fragile. And to find copies that are in really nice condition is extremely rare. It's not uncommon to find these in really poor shape with pinholes and folds, crumbling edges, chunks missing from especially the borders. Now the Butterfinger set includes 65 players, and one premium for Jimmy Fox is found in 2 variations. In the initial printing, his name is misspelled with 1X, and it was later corrected to have 2 X's. So you can find the 66 total cards if you count the variation on these. Now, this set has many of the great players from that era, includes Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mel Ott, and Jimmy Fox among them. It also includes a card for Walter Johnson, who was manager for the Cleveland Indians at the time. Now, the premier cards that most people are familiar with from the mid-30s would be the 33 and 34 Gaudy, and also the Diamond Stars cards, which were distributed from 34 to 36. Now, the Butterfinger premiums have essentially all of the same stars from those card sets with a much smaller checklist. Of the 65 players depicted in the Butterfinger set, I think it's just about 23, 24, maybe 25 are Hall of Famers, so about a third of the set is Hall of Famers. So you've got a good representation of the best players and less commons to deal with if you'd be trying to complete the set. With the Butterfinger premiums, these are significantly less expensive and actually much more rare to find than either of the Gaudy or the Diamond Stars of any of these players. Commons in the Butterfinger set go approximately $20 to $30 if you find one in nice presentable condition, similar to what I'm showing here. Some of your higher end Hall of Famers, say like Mel Ott, Jimmy Fox, the Walter Johnson, maybe Charlie Gehringer, some of those would command a little bit higher pricing, and the 2 big stars, the Babe Ruth and the Lou Gehrig, would command significant money, over $100 or more for presentable copy. But when you compare that to probably $1,000 is a reasonable price to pay for even a lower condition Gaudy card of either Ruth or Gehrig, $100 to $200 seems pretty reasonable for the even larger, more rare photograph. Of the 6 Butterfinger premiums that I own, I sent in 5 of them to be graded by Beckett earlier this year. Beckett's the only card company that will slab these. SGC and PSA don't make a slab that's big enough to hold them, and so Beckett was the only choice. So these premiums are one of the thinnest cards ever made, and they are put in probably the thickest slab that's ever been put out by Beckett. The scans been showing you, they're all of the raw premiums, because once I got them slabbed, the slab, it's too large to fit in my scanner. As it turns out, it seems that Beckett is extremely lenient on the grading for these premiums, because the grades I got were probably better than I would have expected, and are probably better than you would get for just about any other card series that you would send. And I received here with the Stanley Harris, which I got the highest grade, was 3.5. With the Rick Farrell, I received a 2.5. And you can see there's kind of that chip there in the upper left hand corner that probably prevented it from getting a higher grade. The other three that I sent in for grading all got 2s. The Earl of Rill, and you can see it's even missing a chip there in the upper left hand corner, and it has some micro tears in this. So really, any other card series you would expect to see probably a pour come back, but it just seems Beckett took into consideration enough how tough these are to find in good shape to give me a generous grade. At the time I submitted these and received them back, I put them in my Beckett registry, and I discovered that I had the highest rated set in the Beckett registry with just these 5 cards, because I think I'm pretty much the only person that's crazy enough to spend the money to put these cards in slabs. But I just really wanted to do my best to preserve these because they're so fragile, and it makes them a lot easier to display. The one that I don't have graded is the one that's in the worst condition. That's the Dazzy Vance, and this was also the most recent one I've purchased. I purchased it after I'd already submitted the other 5. And somewhere out there is a Vernon Lefty Gomez that I purchased from an auction house, and sadly it got lost in the mail somewhere and never made its way to me. I got refunded for it, but I still miss the fact that I don't have that one. As I've never been able to find one that went as inexpensively as that one to replace it. One more thing with the Butterfinger set, there is a similar set in a slightly smaller format that sometimes gets referred to as Canadian Butterfingers. Those have some of the same players, a lot of the same artwork, similar style, but they didn't come from Butterfinger. They were actually distributed in Canada, but they were distributed by OPC. If you see those, just don't be confused that they're part of this set, because they are actually a separate set, and you can tell just by the size. Another companion item to the Butterfinger premiums is the advertising boards that would have been displayed where these were available, possibly in a store window or very likely on the grocery counter. And these advertising pieces are printed on much more thicker and substantial cardboard stock, and those advertising boards are the same size as the premiums, and in addition to being an image of one of the players, and it's going to have a red Butterfinger advertising overprint at the top. There's 17 of the players from the set are known to have an advertising board. Now, these advertising boards are even more rare than the actual premiums, and so they sell for about 3 to 5 times more than the premium for that player will sell for. Of your big stars in the set, Gehrig and Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig is known to exist in an advertising board. As far as I know, there's never been a Babe Ruth one that existed. Well, there you go. That's what I've got on the Butterfinger premiums. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be coming back with another video on some other premium sets here in the near future. future. Also, just recently gone over 50 subscribers. My 9-year-old, who is in charge of the marketing aspect of all of my YouTube activities, tells me that we need to do a giveaway. I'll be making an announcement here soon for that as well. So everybody, hope you all have been having a great week. We'll talk to you later.